Hey everyone, this podcast is part of Story Mode, the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. You can support us and gain access to other great exclusive podcasts at patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Hi, everybody.
Hey!
Hi,
My name is David Bell,
I'm Tom Ryman.
and I'm Adam Ganser.
and we just watched the Happytime murders.
You two are the most decorated officers in this department. What do you say?
Looks like a robbery gone wrong to me.
This wasn't a robbery, this was a hit.
What the?
Someone out there is killing puppets.
Hey, handsome.
You looking for some rotten cotton?
I'm a woman. That's okay.
Yeah, that's even
We
better.
Got a good time for you.
You got through that title so fast.
Yeah, you sprinted through it.
It's
Almost like-
and we just watched the Happytime murders.
Right, almost like you weren't squirming in your chair next to me the entire time when we were watching this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of squirming. I've never seen Dave settle so much. It was like a cat. just continuing to like feel his way.
This movie was so long.
Yeah.
How long was that?
90 minutes.
Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
No.
No.
We hit a real time dilation watching this
Holy
film.
shit.
It was 90 minutes long.
Yeah, I was living the plot of Interstellar the entire time. That was my contribution to this. So this sucked.
So this is a terrible film,
Yeah,
right?
this was
is
a
a terrible
horrible
film.
movie.
Yeah.
This is a really bad movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it took a lot out of me.
I can tell. You
Yeah.
seem
Yeah.
you seem very depleted.
You guys just told me it was apparently 90 minutes long.
it
That's
is 90 minutes long.
that's a huge shock.
Like he's not over it. He's really sitting back thinking
Yeah.
about that
Yeah.
fact.
Part of Dave is still very terrified that he's going to wake up and still be in the theater.
This whole thing's
Oh
been
my
the
God,
first
you know what?
act.
Okay,
This
so
is your Jacob's ladder.
I had a thought in the theater. Oh my God, I had that exact thought in the theater. I thought to myself, what if I die watching this?
Yeah.
And what if the human brain, what if when you die, you just replay like the last moments over
Right.
and over
10
again?
second loop.
Yeah, and it's just this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. What if it was the part where the doll comes silly string for literally 10 minutes of the 90?
Well, I think you noticed that's the only part I laughed at.
You did laugh. I was surprised it got you. I really was.
Well, it
I
reminded
turned
me
to
of-
Tom to help him join me in my rebuke. I was like,
Yeah.
no, that's not appropriate.
I couldn't tell what was happening.
It reminded me of Team America, where he throws up, because that
Sure.
to me was the only part of this movie where they knew what they were doing was dumb, and they were embracing it, and they were like, "Look at this, it's so fucking dumb." And I thought it was funny. Everything else I felt like was unintentionally dumb.
Yes, I want. Can I say the things I thought were good about it?
Sure.
Is that
Go right ahead.
I thought there was I thought when they decided to finally have Maya Rudolph and Melissa McCarthy together in a scene, it started to get good.
Yeah,
it was
that
like,
was
oh,
great.
these two are funny together,
Yes,
and this
yeah.
is like a pretty good scene. I thought in general, Maya Rudolph was a professional performer in this movie.
She was good, yeah.
Which
She
is
was.
more than I can say for almost everyone else in it. Almost everyone else was bad at some point or the other.
Everybody else looked like they'd just woken up and they'd like just gotten on the set.
No,
and
this
they
is-
were like,
this-
let's just do this.
See, this is the thing. This is the thing. All these Muppet movies, the actors are so fucking delighted by the goddamn puppets.
Yeah.
Right.
That they can never believe the scene. They're always in the scene. They're like, look at him. Look at the.
Well-
it's like almost like a person. Like that's,
is-
you can see him thinking it, and you're like, come on.
This isn't really a Muppet movie. This is all right.
Yes, it is.
This is why this movie really bummed me out. Personally.
okay. Ready?
It's because I wrote about this movie at Cracked for movies that deserve more hype. It had been in production for a very long time.
Okay.
And all I knew for a while was that Jim Henson's son was making a noir puppet film.
Sounds great.
Yep. There was pictures. It was like concept art, and it was dark.
Yes.
It was like gritty looking.
It was a
dark.
noir film.
It was Meet the Feebles, but
Right.
less fucked up. And it was like, that's fucking awesome. Jim Henson's son is doing something, with the Muppet brand that's like different, that's creative. And every time there's a movie that does like stop motion, or like in Team America the marionettes, or in this case puppets, I'm so excited because it's such a creative, different thing to get to see done.
Yeah.
And there's a whole other group of artists who have to go into it. And like the most interesting part of this movie to me was the ending credits when they were actually showing them performing
I
as
agree.
puppeteers.
Right. It interspliced with a terrible
Music
video.
Interspliced with a Muppet music video. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
So again, and I hate to say this, but like the problem with this movie is that it was Muppets. That's the problem with it. That like tonally, and they didn't get far enough away from being the Muppets ever. And like, I don't have a problem with Muppets as a fucking world to play in. Fine,
Yeah.
but like a noir Muppet story means like go real hard at that, and they kind of didn't.
Yeah, they needed to do, because that's what Meet the Feebles was. It was like this puppet variety show and then
Yeah.
this dark underbelly. They needed to do that. They needed to do, and that's what like the Happytime Murders sounded like that on just from the title of like it's going to be like Sesame Streets, but this is like the bad streets of Sesame
Yeah,
Street.
no sesame, all streets.
Yeah.
Which I think was a tagline.
It is the tagline, yes.
Yeah. Oh man.
It should, like, I kept comparing it in my mind to Who Framed Roger Rabbit while we were watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has similarities.
But that's a successfully dark film.
Correct. Like, they actually made a noir film with Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Well, do you think that the puppets make it impossible to pull that off?
No, I think the tone was wrong.
Yeah, it was
Like, the tone of this movie, they decided to go like Team America, like over the top, just vulgar and craziness, but
but not as funny as Team America.
Oh no,
not even close.
No, the writing's nowhere good.
No, the writing felt like a mom and her teenage son bonding over a weekend.
Well,
wrote this fucking script.
I think what happened, my guess is that because early production, it was the production art and stuff. It seemed like it was that direction. I really like Melissa McCarthy. She was good in this, like you said.
Right.
The best scenes were just her. But I think the moment she got involved, some producer was like, "Oh yeah, we'll make it a wacky comedy," and like it just sort of snowballed into. Because I remember first watching the trailer and realizing, "Oh, this is just every comedy now. Like this is just every modern comedy."
Yeah.
It's just, but it just has puppets. But it felt like you said, they didn't really need to be puppets. It could just be anybody. It was, at that point,
honestly,
the comedy didn't come from the puppets so much as it came from. Well, it was the same puppet jokes over and over again.
I think it was like this movie might have been better if it was a noir film that was about a mom who happened to be a detective.
Sure,
and like they just did, because I kid you not, this was the movie where I discovered that mom humor is a thing. This movie is fucking mom humor, like straight up. Like scolding people for being shitty in a shitty underworld is like that happens all the time in this fucking movie.
It does.
There's all kinds of like there's all kinds of weird gender things that are like that are like why, you know? And like Melissa McCarthy is half sugar addict, half fucking scolding mom.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, like it's like what?
There's like multiple times where she scolds puppets for treating women wrong.
Which
like,
okay, but
which was it was fine, but then it kept happening, and it was like
it was going to be a point.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of that where it was just like, these Muppets fuck. And then it's like, oh, okay, that's funny. And then they're like, okay, but these Muppets fuck.
Right.
And it's
and
like,
then,
yeah, no, you made the joke
we got
already. And it's that where they had like 4 jokes that they just kept repeating, or 4 observations. And one of them was that Muppets treated women bad.
Right.
Like,
well, I think it's more that noir characters treat women bad, and that because they're Muppets, the mom is going to come back and tell you how it is. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That's how it felt to me, at least.
They had one joke, the Basic Instinct joke.
Oh my God, that
they
really bummed me
literally
out.
just repeated 3 times.
Yeah.
Like it happens and we see it, and then they do it again, and it's another close up.
Yeah, and it's like, no,
of the
we saw it
puppet
the first
vagina.
time.
And then we get to see it again during the end credits.
Yeah, they must have really thought they nailed something there.
They really thought they had something.
I did not like that. I viscerally did not like that. I was like, I don't think this is funny.
Not for me.
And like, who's it for?
Well,
Who wants that?
Here's the thing. I think that people haven't heard of the movie Meet the Feebles.
I haven't watched it.
Okay, but you know what it is. It's Peter.
You're telling me now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
no.
This is interesting. It's Peter Jackson, one of his first movies. Not
Okay.
one of his first. It was after. It was like before The Frighteners, but after
Dead Alive?
Dead Alive.
Yeah, Dead Alive.
And it's one of the most disgusting movies and like kind of depressing movies. It's about a Muppet show, and it's all the Muppets backstage doing drugs and having sex, and they're like scumbags, and
Sure.
it's like it's really fucking weird.
Sure.
And it's one of those exhibits of like, how did Peter Jackson get Lord of the Rings? Like, it's one of those movies where it's like, they looked at this movie, huh? But it's like, it's a really interesting, unique film, and I think that they're banking off of people not knowing that this has already been done, because I think they really thought it was enough to be like, look at these puppets doing dirty things, and we're going to keep doing it over and over again.
How long ago was Team America?
Right. I think Team
2004.
America, though,
Okay, that's a
was
long
like,
time ago.
it was a different type of puppet. Like this
Right,
is
it
like
wasn't.
Sesame Street
It wasn't
puppets.
Muppets. Right,
Yeah.
this is Muppets. Like, fine. Team America did everything this movie did so
better.
much better. The sex jokes were 100 times better. Like,
Right, because they knew how silly it was.
Right.
It was like
Yeah.
just two puppets
And they went
just
for it.
banging together.
and they really went for it, and
Yeah.
they kept one-upping it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, you thought that's it? No, they're gonna go way further.
Oh, yeah, they cut out a bunch,
Every
yeah.
cut
Yeah.
in that sex scene, my laugh raised an
Increased,
octave.
yeah,
it was
yeah.
like, oh, okay. This, by contrast, felt like it felt like the PG-13est R-rated movie I've ever seen in my
Yeah.
life.
was it's
You
like
know?
it was just all of the most obvious sex and drug jokes you could think of
Right.
are in this film, and that's exclusively what's in this film.
The part where
Pretty
she's
much.
stripping for rabbits, and all they're doing is making rabbit jokes.
They really were.
Again.
They're all
it's
making
the most-
carrot puns.
Carrot puns.
It's
the most
Easter in my
obvious.
pants.
Yeah, it is. It's all the. And that's, I guess that's what I mean, is that it was made by Jim Henson's son, who I don't think is like, I don't think he has a background in filmmaking, really.
I mean,
Or
he grew up with
comedy.
his dad.
He grew up with his dad, but yeah, sure. But what I'm saying is that, like, he's directing a comedy. I'm sure they threw a bunch of ideas and writers at him. I don't know.
Produced and wrote this movie.
That's true. Did he write it?
He was a writer on it, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he had a story credit.
Oh,
The
story credit.
screenplay
that's-
was a different
okay.
thing.
That's what it feels like. It feels like he had a really good idea that then a bunch of people were like, "Yeah, you should do this and this and this and this." And it just he didn't know. I'm not saying he wasn't at fault. I'm saying that it felt like you said, it's sort of mom jokes. It's very basic comedy. Like, so I feel like it was just Jim Henson's son just being like, "Oh, this is great."
Well, I think
then they made it, and then
I think they let people improv is one thing.
Yes.
Like, it
Yes,
seems to
there's
me like there's a lot of
definitely,
improv, which
pretty
is
sure that rice pilaf joke was
improv. Sure.
improv.
And then they
A lot
kept it.
of the exchanges between the main puppet and Melissa McCarthy, I think, are improv.
Yeah,
And I'm sure she's funnier than what they had written down. Like,
yeah, oh yeah.
I'm personally not in the school of like, let's just put funny people on camera and let them riff and that
No,
be a
I
movie.
sort of
No.
hate that.
I don't like that, but other people do, and who am I to say?
Even for improv, though, I think there was a lot of lines where I was just like, "Okay, did they not do it again?" After
Yeah,
that?
was that like
But
yeah.
one of the people improving is a puppet.
yeah.
So like, how good is it gonna be? You know what I
This
mean? Like-
could have been good.
No, I don't
I
think
guess.
so.
I guess what I'm saying is, I think Jim Henson's son doesn't have a very good sense of humor. Like,
I think he
I'm pretty
doesn't-
sure he grew up on a set of a children's show, and then just anytime a puppet says the word "fuck," he's fucking.
He just thinks it's
it's
hilarious.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has no sense of genre. Is,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
maybe the biggest
this-
problem. This
yeah.
movie had no noir in it, other than the scene beats were noirish, and like they clearly had like 6 or 8 things they wanted to do.
Yeah.
There's got to be an incest story. There's got to be a drug addict in some fucking drug den.
Yeah, it's
there's
got to
be
in
strippers.
a trap house.
Yeah, there's got to be strippers. There's like there's got to be a weird gangster like holdout in some homeless alley. That's all fine, but like there was none of the feeling of noir or the camera work of noir or the lighting of noir or the any of it. Like,
Right.
none
It
of that
didn't-
was there at all.
Yeah, it was in the concept art, and that's why it's,
Right.
again, so frustrating.
Well, that's a bad director. I again, like if you had a good director at this with exactly the same materials, this movie jumps up 20% better at
Yeah.
least.
Also,
Minimum.
it should have been written. Like there
Right.
shouldn't have been improv. It should have been Ghostbusters. It should have been that feeling where maybe there's a few improvs here and there, but it's actually a pretty like tightly put together like story.
Yeah,
I would have liked a
Roger
good
Rabbit.
mystery.
Do
What's
Roger
that?
Rabbit.
Yeah, Roger Rabbit.
Just do fucking Roger Rabbit, man.
It's not.
Who wrote Roger Rabbit?
I don't know.
Because that person deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah.
You know, Roger Rabbit also was a lot more creative visually in a lot of ways. Like
Yeah.
the camera work of it is a lot more challenging to do and more noir inspired.
The animation was also a fucking pain in the ass.
I'm
to
sure.
do.
Yeah, because it's actual animation.
Yeah,
Right.
they would paint over the frames. They just like that's all they could really do at the time.
Right.
There's that shot of Dumbo through the blinds, and then I think the commentary they're like that was awful to do because it's just they had to paint
him
Dumbo
through the
blinds.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah,
That's a living
Yeah,
hell.
like that movie, Roger Rabbit is still funny. Like it still has. I mean, its main characters were created just for the film, but it still has like Disney and Looney Tunes and stuff in it. So like this could have still been a Muppets film, sort of tangentially, or at least in the same universe as the Muppets. But it is primarily a noir film, and it is like a murder mystery, and like it's kind of dark. Like some dark shit happens in Roger Rabbit.
I mean, one of the most horrific deaths in a movie that I still have trouble watching is in it.
the
Legit.
shoe.
The shoe. I can't watch that shoe die.
Really?
That really upsets me.
I need it. It's been a long time since I watched.
I
that
grew up
movie.
watching all sorts of horror films and stuff, but that
But the
was
shoe
the
got
one
you.
that was the thing that fucked me
Yeah.
up. Fucking shoe.
Dave's got a cold sweat brewing right now.
Yeah.
Yes, oh, man. But this movie does none of that. This movie takes that premise and then just makes like the worst kind of Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this movie. Again, I'm putting this on the director's shoulders. I might be wrong about that. The director didn't want to let go of the idea, but they're Muppets. Isn't that fun? Like in his heart, that like they weren't really in a noir world. They were still Muppets having
Yeah, they
a
were
good
still
time.
Muppets.
Right.
Yeah, they were never in a noir world, and if they had been, because they are in Roger Rabbit,
Yes.
like they're
Yeah.
in that world, you know. That is a big difference maker.
They started a little like when they were doing like, oh, they're all racist against Muppets. That's also a Roger Rabbit
Didn't
thing.
like that.
Well, it's a Roger Rabbit thing as well. They shouldn't have
Yeah.
done it so like on the nose. Like in Roger Rabbit, they don't like keep having people say like typically racist things, but switch it to make it tunes.
Yeah.
Like it's like there, but it's not like they don't keep joking about it. But like that, I didn't mind that starting because it was like, okay, well, this is like Roger Rabbit. They pulled it off, but then they just kept fucking reminding.
So,
us.
like, on the subject of racism against puppets, why does Phil Philson's, what's his name again?
Phil Phillips.
Phil Phillips. Why does his brother bleach his skin?
To look more human,
To
I
look
guess?
more human.
Yeah.
But wait a minute. He's going from blue to lighter blue, right? Like, so to look more white human? Is that it? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Probably, yeah.
That's a little weird.
Yeah, no, there's a lot. Yeah,
Because
like
that
you
is
said,
also a strange
They
commentary.
shouldn't have done so much with it because it was
Yeah.
like they were just trying to be playful. I think they were just trying to be like, see, we're racist against puppets, and so we're going to make a bunch of racist jokes with puppets. But it was like the more they did it, the more it was just like I think like
You're just like, oh, I'm sad now.
yeah, like I think you're getting lost in this.
They're
and
starting to
it-
bring actual racism into it
Yeah.
when it wasn't really
Right, like
important.
his brother bleaches his skin and gets a quote unquote human nose. So
Yeah,
it's like,
right.
Oh, so you're just that's Michael Jackson.
Right. It's
Yeah,
or Sammy Sosa
exactly.
or,
Or
like,
Sammy
you know,
Sosa,
another
yeah.
figure like that.
And so
who-
that's when it starts being like, yeah, what the fuck are you trying to say?
what are you
What the
saying?
hell
Like,
are you
I
trying
think
to
you're
say?
saying a thing I don't agree with now.
Yeah.
Maybe you know, like
Well, yeah, because they're taking this like, isn't this funny? It's like, well, no, because that's a thing that happens.
Yeah.
right. And like, if a puppet wanted to be more human, wouldn't they get skin? Like they wouldn't get
Do that
whiter.
movie.
Right.
Like Data.
Do Silence of the Lambs.
Right. That's what should have happened.
I was thinking
They'd
like
collect
Data,
some skin.
Data
Yeah.
and Star Trek First
Contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
I thought that was a big problem, honestly.
yeah.
yeah, it's a pretty big problem. The Phil Phillips is our main character.
He's not badly done. I thought he
I
was done
thought the
okay.
performance was pretty good, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
didn't,
like that.
didn't like his hair.
His hair was weird.
His hair was
but I
crazy.
mean, any
That's
of the
fair.
Muppets' hair was weird. In
I
this
like that he was
film.
kind of a dirty puppet. Like he was always a little bit dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. But like he should have been 50 something, right?
I don't
according
know
to their
how
math.
old he is, but
Well,
yeah.
no. So
I
they
thought
were
he was.
no,
Yeah.
but they were partners 20 years ago when he misses this fucking shot. Melissa
Yeah.
McCarthy looks the same age.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, fine. He misses the shot. So 20 years have passed. So he's minimum mid 40s.
Right.
You know, he doesn't look aged enough
Yeah,
dumb problem,
they
but I
definitely
cared.
did de-age. Like they made him look younger in the flashbacks, but
Right.
not young enough. I get
Yeah,
you.
yeah, they did a little bit, but not enough.
Right.
So he's disgraced because of this. Like he used to be Melissa McCartney's partner. She's being there's a flashback. We finally see what the terrible incident was. Is she's being held at gunpoint by a criminal puppet, and he takes a shot that misses very, very narrowly.
Right.
Like it
Barely
skins
misses.
the felt on the puppet's face, and then ricochets and kills an innocent bystander puppet
Right.
instead.
Like miracle bullet. That's like
Right.
a JFK
Yeah.
miracle bullet.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the film, Melissa McCarthy is like vehemently hates him and is like,
Right.
you missed that shot on purpose and all this other stuff. So, and that's been like the narrative throughout the film. And then when we finally get to see the flashback of what happened, it's like, it's completely unbelievable that she would think he missed on purpose.
Unless she was overwhelmed by puppet racism.
Yeah.
Unless it was like he missed the shot, and then like everybody sort of ganged up on her and she got lost in it. But none of that comes out. There's no.
That's such
And they
a
also
nuanced
don't.
thing.
They
yeah.
don't mention that he killed a bystander.
Yeah, they don't.
Until we see the flashback. It's like that's the issue.
Yes.
Like not. It's there's so many. There's a couple of. The conflicts in the movie are completely unbelievable.
Also, the resolutions, like when he gets together with what's her name at the end.
With Maya Rudolph.
Bubbles?
Maya Rudolph.
Bubbles?
I laugh
Maya Rudolph
every time I
named
heard her
her
name.
Bubbles.
Yeah,
I
that-
pumped my fist in the theater several times.
You did.
Every time I heard Bubbles, I was like, "Fuck yeah, Bubbles!"
Her name was Bubbles.
That was completely unprompted. Like
Right.
he asks her out at the end, and then like one of them nudges him, like, "So you finally worked up, you know, the nerve to
Well,
ask her out?" And is like, "Did they ever establish that?" He
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
they
a
did.
scene. There's a scene
Yeah.
earlier where she's like, "I'm taking off. Do you want to come out with?" Like, you can kind of
right, but
she
it
asked
seems
him
like
to come
she's
out and-
into him.
Yeah,
Right.
And then he fucks that puppet, and she just doesn't care. She acts.
she cleans up.
She
right,
cleans up.
because
It's funny.
it was a fun bit
So-
for the funny movie.
Exactly, but like he wasn't like, "Do you want to go out?" He was just like casually like, "Nah, I got to stay here and drink," and like it wasn't treated like a will they won't they moment. It seemed like she was a little into him. And then at the end, he just asked her out, and they like talked to him like he had shown any sign.
You're right.
of
That was the
interest.
wrong thing. To
I mean, so
Yeah.
If this, okay, just to defend the movie on this one count,
Okay.
if this wasn't a puppet but was a human being playing this part, you'd cut to his face when she's like, "Okay, I'll see you tomorrow," and we would know does he like her or not from that close up because
Right.
something in his face and emotions would tell us that.
Okay,
this is
but
a fucking puppet, so we
The
can't get that. out
Puppets
of him.
Yeah.
can give emotion, and of all
But
people,
not that
Henson's son
emotion.
can do. No, he can give a little cartoony sigh.
Like a,
yeah,
okay,
yeah. Like
fair enough.
there's a way to do that they didn't do.
right.
okay. Fair enough.
They
Yeah.
established that she's into him, but you're right at
They
the end.
never
So
es-
it should have been the other way around.
She should
at
have
the
asked
end.
him out,
Yeah.
and he could have been like, sure. Or he, I mean, we're more realistically, it could have been like, hey, we haven't really interacted besides you working for me.
or cleaning
Why-
the silly string
Cleaning
semen
my-
off the
Yeah,
wall.
yeah. So why would
Gallons of my semen.
I was shocked that she cleaned it. That
That
seems
seemed
like
pretty degrading.
yeah, that
Yeah.
seemed
That was
like she
pretty-
didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
I don't believe the character would be mad had she not cleaned his semen up. Like I don't think that just seemed weird. Like he wasn't treating her badly. He didn't seem like the type to demand having his cartoony jizz cleaned by her.
Right. I don't
And
know what the
fact
power
that she
dynamic there
did
is.
it.
Yeah, it's
it was
weird.
very strange.
I mean, that seems like one of those, like, how does it work between puppets and humans things that they really didn't figure out.
Yeah.
I can name some others. Would you like to hear some others?
I would love to hear some others.
How do puppets not feel pain sometimes
Right.
when they don't have bones, but then they do feel pain when they're ripped apart?
see
The
all
first thing we see is a bunch of punk kids rip a puppet's eye out because they're teasing
And he
him.
doesn't seem to feel
No.
pain,
But-
right?
Getting pulled apart by a dog will kill you.
Oh no, okay.
Getting shot in the head will kill you.
Well,
I think I know.
They
I think I
scream
know
in
what this
pain.
is.
Yeah.
I think it's spiritual and mental pain. I think the idea is they are experiencing death. They are being removed from the world, so they feel it, and they're screaming for that reason.
But
Like,
what
so it's
kills
terror.
Whereas
Terror
it's
and anxiety.
Yeah,
what kills a puppet then?
It's
You-
anguish
You gotta
that
kill
kills
its
them.
puppet brain.
But they don't have brains.
They have fluff.
I mean, like,
They're just full of
the
fluff.
only reason I know
How
this,
did they
like,
have children?
I
if
don't
you
know.
haven't seen this movie, this probably sounds like obvious like obvious jokes to make about this movie. The problem is they really lean into this shit a lot. Like in that first murder scene in the fucking porn video store.
Yeah.
Fine. The guy pisses glitter and shits eggs, right? This like bunny, and it's like okay, so like they have sort of magic blood, but they
love sugar.
Right.
Why is it sugar?
I don't know.
Why do puppets love sugar?
Is that a trope?
Well, here's all right. This is the thing: is they didn't establish because all right, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? One of the reasons that's so good is that they play off cartoon tropes throughout.
Right.
And so we all get the references because we're like, oh, just like cartoons. And the whole premise is they can't die, but someone invents a way for them to die, which is fucking dark.
That's
It's
a good
noir
idea.
premise.
Yeah.
Right.
In this, they don't. They start in a world that they haven't established. Like you said, they haven't established the rules at all.
No.
But then when the puppets do stuff, it's not stuff that we're like, oh, I know that from Sesame Street. It's not them counting or like having a letter of the day or like, you know what I mean? Like there was a Kids in the Hall sketch. I think it was Kids in the Hall.
Yeah.
Where they're eating Muppet? Oh,
Nope.
It's a great. It's. I haven't watched it in years, so I'm probably gonna botch it. But the idea is that someone like, this is really good. What is it? And he's like, oh, it's Muppet. And they're like, oh, how do you get Muppet? And he like runs. He like shouts out the window like, I know what far is, but what's the other one? And the Muppet's like near, and then he clubs it.
Great.
And so like that's playing off of tropes we know.
Right.
This doesn't do that.
None
Yes.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's.
It doesn't do that. That's
yeah.
a huge problem with it.
Yeah.
Also, the scene where we meet Phil Phillips, right? That's his name. I keep getting it wrong. Okay, Phil
That's
Phillips.
right. Phil Phillips.
He pulls up and you just mentioned it. He saves that guy from getting his eye pulled out by children, gangster children.
Yeah.
That made me realize if this movie was entirely children and Muppets, and it was a noir movie, and they went real dark with it,
That's
this
perfect.
movie could have been an A+. This
Yeah.
movie could have been the home run.
Yeah, that's perfect.
You know, like the home run, like the natural. That's how good it could have been. You know, but yeah, just lost opportunity there because those kids were kind of bad actors.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of didn't believe
yeah.
it, and I was like, "This could be. We could have something here. We could have a thing here."
Also,
Yeah.
this was actually a short film I did in college. We used, bless you,
Sorry.
we used Muppets.
Yeah.
And we did it as a solution because this is another thing they could have done in this. Because what we were given a script to shoot on a soundstage, and
Sure.
they gave us one that takes place entirely outdoors. And it was like, why would you do this to us? One of their rules for this class was like, we only have to shoot indoors. So only write your scripts that take place indoors. And then they like had a shortage of scripts. So they're like, here's one we had from another class.
Yep.
It takes place entirely outdoors. So we switched all the characters with Muppets because you can build an outdoor set
Classic.
with Muppets. And like that would have been fun to see this be like a world, or it's like Roger Rabbit where there's like the Muppet world, which
Yeah.
it looks like
Like
a
Muppet Town.
Yeah, where it looks like a set.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have.
Like if it was all kids, it would be that world,
Oh,
right?
it'd be so good.
It wouldn't
Yeah.
be. It wouldn't be the human world with Muppets. It would be like I feel like that's actually. It would have been more compelling if it wasn't puppets in our world. It was us in the puppets world.
Right, because there's things you can deal with there, like the forced perspective that Muppets require.
Right.
Yeah.
Like one arm never moves, and like you only
Right.
ever see from a
Right,
certain...
it's just little rules like
Yeah.
that. I mean, it would have been cool if this movie took itself seriously.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I haven't
Yeah.
seen enough Muppet movies in recent memory,
Yeah.
but it does strike me as in tone with all of them that they're all kind of like, isn't it fun we're doing a movie? Like
Right.
they're all kind of that, and this was also that, and it was trying.
Yeah,
it
it
marketed
shouldn't
itself
have
as
been.
not doing that. Yeah,
The,
that's an issue.
I mean, just looking at the making of, I was very excited that the Muppet stuff, like when they first show them walking around the city,
Right.
I got bummed out immediately because I was like, oh, are they doing CGI for these Muppets?
I thought they were actually.
And there's a few shots, and
To
they
a
did
degree.
this in the Muppet movies where it's clearly like, oh, that's a child. Where if one of them's like running or something,
Right.
they'll just put a body double. But yeah, when you looked at the behind the scenes, it was just actors with the green screen shit on them, and it was like it looks like it's 100% all actual.
Yeah, they're
puppeteers,
actually puppeting them.
I mean,
that made me very happy.
Yeah, there can never be enough credit given to Jim Henson and his son for the innovative and fun ways they make puppets work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even this movie is still that.
Yeah.
But I just, again, like, I'd rather watch the scene with Jabba in Return of the Jedi. Why? And that's a puppet that doesn't do much. He just sits there.
There's like 5 guys in him too.
I know. He just for the fucking tail and for his arms and
Yeah,
stuff.
5
Yeah.
guys hotboxing that
yeah,
thing.
because-
sweating to death in a
Right.
Jabba suit.
And there's that one slimy tongue guy.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that's miserable and we're not getting that much puppetry out of him, but Jabba is in tone with the world.
Yeah.
And fully emotionally realized. Like, that's a real thing and it's scary.
Yeah.
It should have been. Yeah, there should have. It should have been.
Yeah, it was the wrong tone.
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess we can only say that 100,000 different
Yeah.
ways. So I don't want to waste everybody's time.
Yeah,
to say
there's
it again.
Joel McHale makes no sense and is introduced in an insane way halfway
What
through the film.
fuck?
It felt like Joel McHale just like was on set and they're
Yeah.
like, hey, you want to jump in on this? Like,
It's all right.
yeah.
Sure.
Are we sure we're done with Community? We're done? Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah, he shows up in the background of one scene and doesn't get introduced right away, but he's like recognizable, so you're like, oh. And you're like
Hey,
waiting
Joel
for him
McHale.
to like
Yeah.
be introduced, and then like this is Special Agent so and so from the FBI. It's like, okay, so the FBI is taking over the investigation for some reason. No reason they would.
No reason they would.
And then he Joel McHale, the FBI agent, suspends Melissa McCarthy later and is like, give me your badge and gun. I was like, he's the FBI. He's not the boss of
Yeah.
the
It's like
police
what?
station.
Yeah, that we both exchange a confused
Yeah.
glance. It's like they read a Wikipedia page about Chinatown, but didn't
Yeah.
actually watch the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then they kept doing the loser said what joke.
Yes.
It
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
Oh my God. What an original and fresh joke that you're going to repeat 10 times.
Right. Yeah,
And then
they
talk
do it
about it,
so
and then do it
many
again.
times. Oh my God, it is painful.
She also said shit cakes a bunch.
I
Yeah.
really hated that.
Shit cakes never got me.
Well, it reminds me of like it's when you pick a like you decide you're going to make a catchphrase out of something, so you have a
Right.
character keep saying this obscenity that you've invented that's not that clever.
right.
So like that, it reminded me a lot, and I love Archer,
Sure.
but Pam's character says dick nuts all the time, and it's
Right.
really fucking
You
annoying.
didn't like that either, huh?
Because it just gets to where that'll be the punchline. It's just
Right.
her saying dick
Right,
nuts. And I'm
it's
like,
just-
that
isn't this-
word is not funny.
It's supposed to be a
Like-
joke plus a character affectation, but they didn't settle on a funny enough word.
Yeah.
Shit cakes is not enough. I can't
No.
say right now what the word is.
No,
You know.
but it also needs better context too, because it's true that
Right.
I'm very sick of that. Where it's like, isn't it funny how we combine these two words?
No,
And it's like,
no, it's not.
Yeah, unless it's done in a clever way.
Right.
or-
It has to really blow my mind.
yeah.
Like,
I'm trying to think of a word I would laugh at right now, and we're all going to be disappointed by whatever it ends up being.
I had a friend, and this is about context.
Right.
We were in a bank together, and this was my realization that
In a
banks-
bank,
Well, this
okay.
was my realization that banks are like libraries. Like you don't think about it, but banks are quiet places. And she was
Right.
filling out a check, and she screwed it up and screamed "shit fucker" in the bank, and that was glorious.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not a particularly.
Maybe that was the one.
It's
That
not a
was it.
particularly clever combination of words.
No.
no,
but it's so oddly vulgar. Vulgar.
the commitment
Such
to
a
it.
like, yeah, and in such a like inappropriate place
Right.
that where commerce is happening.
Yeah, it's a money
I
library.
want to say
Yeah.
that in Office Space, one of the characters combines swear words in a funny way. But I don't
That's
have enough.
probably
know.
true. I haven't seen it in a while.
It's been a long time. Yeah, I didn't care for that character affectation too much. Do you think, even though it's Muppets, that it was too much to believe for Melissa McCarthy to beat up so many people? And when I say that, I thought that. Do you think that too?
What to be? I like
Beat up
the
like a
idea
room
of
full
a,
of Muppet
that
thugs.
part was fine. Beating up Muppets, I'm okay with it. She took out like 4 linebackers in front of a jet engine.
right,
Oh, yeah,
those
yeah.
guys, like actual human
That was
beings.
impossible.
She's beating him with a steering wheel.
Yeah.
Right, but still.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I liked a good Muppet fight because that also looked like it had some like skill behind it, like
Sure.
puppeteering stuff.
Oh no, all the puppet stuff was like I
Top notch.
I recognize that this is very difficult, and these are the best people in the world at
It's
it.
the most depressing part though because it's a waste.
Right,
of
because
that.
you're like it was very difficult to make, and it is a terrible movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like when I got to, that part didn't.
You were so
hang me up.
frustrated you didn't care.
Well, no, I think it just what we had seen from her character up to that point in the film. I was just like, yeah, sure, she's beating him with a steering wheel.
Yeah, for me it was
Like,
like
I didn't.
That really bothered me. I know.
It didn't catch me.
It's all little it's like little things that are like. There's so much wrong with this movie that
Right.
there's just particular personal points. You're like, I'm offended by that.
for
Like,
me it was like anything to end it at that point.
sure, yeah. Well, also she plucked him out of a fucking jet engine that's
Right.
working.
That is
I
on.
was like, that's not possible.
Full on.
Yeah,
Is she made of iron?
I
What
thought
the
that was
fuck?
going to be a bigger deal than it was. She was
Yeah.
just like, here, okay, gotcha.
Right.
They never solve her like candy addiction, her sugar. That's just
stops.
It
it's
feels
fun-
like a plot line was deleted.
yes. It does feel like a bit was cut because there's also the part when they're first like partnered up, which felt awkward because he doesn't say like the chief guy doesn't start with saying I'm going to bring you on as a consultant. He just says you guys are working together, and it's like
For no reason.
yeah, for no reason.
Yeah, how?
And then like halfway through the conversation, he's like, "I'm not making you a cop, I'm making you a consultant." It's like, "Oh, okay,
Cool twist.
And, yeah, and then they hate each other, and like 3 scenes later, they're
They
fine
just
with
don't
each other.
anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And I thought like, and she's like sort of uptight at first, and then she starts snorting the sugar, and she gets a scene where she's silly, and I thought like, oh, okay, that's a good way of making her get to be funny, but she's going to go back to being more uptight, and she never does.
Not really.
And then they show that she's just on a bender, and it's like a thrown away thing. He goes to her house and it's trash and filled with
he
syrup.
cleans it.
He cleans it up, but then she's seen later buying the syrup. So they
But then
never
pouring
show
it out. She pours it out and decides to go after him.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Pretty
It's
weak
sort of
resolution.
yeah, it's McClane with
Yeah.
the cigarettes in Die Hard with a Vengeance, where he's like, where he keeps going to smoke and then he like crushes it. And,
Yeah.
like, and he's just, it's not really, yeah. Sure.
I mean, yeah. I was glad she was high on sugar because that's when the movie started getting fun.
right.
You know, like when she was doing jokes with the puppets, it was fun. In that scene where she beats him up finally, and like
Yeah.
she's like, even though she's scolding him, I don't care. I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
fine.
her
you know?
interacting with puppets.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, when she's having fun, the
There were
movie
some
gets better.
jokes that I laughed at.
Did you laugh honestly at a single joke though?
I think a couple of times.
I don't think I did.
I did. I liked what she's. I mean, I know they were all wild lines, but like when she's like, "Did you clean my house?" He's like, "Yeah, it was filthy." It's like I don't know how to take that.
I don't know how to respond to that. Yeah,
it's like
that
somebody
was good.
stealing your car to put new rims on.
Yeah.
yeah.
So that was kind of funny.
That's the thing. It's the same issue I had with the Ghostbusters movie, where there's always the little moments where I'm just like, oh, that's funny. That's a funny line.
Right.
It's a funny moment. It just doesn't amount to
Right. It's like that joke. That's a weird joke to have in your
Yeah.
noir puppet murder mystery.
Well, it's a break from the tone.
Yeah.
That every joke they did was a break from the tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't do jokes that were derived of the situation, really.
right.
No,
Which is
they didn't.
Yeah, which is what Edgar Wright does. You know,
Yes.
Edgar Wright does. I mean, sometimes he does just like funny things. But
I'd love
like,
to see him do a puppet movie.
I think he's exactly the guy that should have made this movie.
Yeah.
Him or Ryan Johnson should have made this movie.
Ryan
And it-
Johnson.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson could have done this 100%.
Okay.
He's creative with camera and he understands noir really well.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's already working for Disney. How big of a fucking jump over to Muppets
figure,
is it?
I guess, yeah. I would say obviously Edgar Wright's the better one because he's more inclined towards
Comedy guy.
comedy. Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you guys feel about? Okay, I thought the entire time Elizabeth Banks was the killer
Yeah.
because we see a
Then they did a tease.
human-sized murderer in the first scene.
It's always a little vague what the murderer's size is.
Well,
It seemed to me human-sized in the porn store.
it never felt like a mystery. It never felt like a twist. When they blew her up, I was like, oh, okay, I guess it's not her.
Well, I
Like,
still thought she was gonna. I was like, oh, she faked her death because I was so
Yeah.
convinced it was her, and then they reveal the other plot where it's actually no, it's the daughter of the guy that
Right.
Phil actually killed, and then they have the reveal anyway. Like Elizabeth Banks comes
Yeah.
back. I was like, oh, I did fake my death, and I am in on it, and we were secretly married the whole time. But then, like, I'm not really in on it
I guess
because she's like surprised.
yeah.
It was really clumsy.
Yeah, and
Really
then
clumsy.
and then she gets knocked out with this the evil
Briefcase.
puppet murderer knocks her out with a briefcase, and then we never see her again.
Well, they get verbally divorced also. I think you forgot
Yeah,
that part.
I wanted. Yeah,
I
that's
want a
right.
divorce.
I want a divorce.
The puppet screams after having been basically having had sex in an office and then showing us our puppet vagina. Then
Yep.
the next scene is her whimsically staring at a plane in a white outfit.
Yeah.
This is a fucking garbage character.
This is,
It's a horrible character.
terrible character.
Yeah, really didn't care for it. Also, like, when you do the math on it, she's like basically a victim of a homicide from a
That's,
cop.
that's the other thing is like
What the fucking message of this movie
It's
is
pretty dark. Yeah.
that Phil finally found it within himself to kill the daughter of the man he accidentally killed so many years
it's
ago.
insane.
Right.
Which again, that would have been fine in a darker noir premise if it was like he shot her and he didn't feel good about it.
Right.
Right,
And
because
it
you
just-
shouldn't feel good about that.
And
Right.
that was so. Again, this feels like that was the stuff that existed before someone came along and said, "But let's make it a zany comedy."
Yeah, but can we go back toward PG-13?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though this is an R-rated film, but
But again, doesn't it feel like a
it's the
PG-13
most-
movie?
Yeah, it's the most. For being as gross as it tries to be, it is the most like kids' glove kind of gross. It's
Well,
just
every time-
so obvious and
It just felt like teenagers. It
Yeah.
felt like every time the puppets were like, fuck, yeah, fuck, right?
yeah.
Fuck.
Isn't it funny? I'm saying fuck.
Right?
No,
Like,
dude.
No, man. I don't care about
Heard
that.
it. We've all seen South Park.
Yeah, and Team America
Team
is
America.
so much better at
Yes,
this
it,
than you.
it is
Way better.
because they actually fucking wrote that movie.
And because they have a theme song I still remember. So
So
you
the-
listen to the extended version of that theme song,
Oh
by the
yeah.
way?
Oh yeah.
Oh, of course.
The things they list that America's saving.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had the soundtrack.
That's a real treat.
That part's not written.
Yeah.
You can tell because he starts to laugh.
It's a real treat. It's a real treat. When you start hearing the things they made up on the fly in that song, just
really good.
for you, dear listener who has not heard it, go listen to the song. It's like 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and there's a part where they just start listing shit.
Yeah.
I think my
Stuff.
favorite is books.
Books.
Yeah.
Books. That's the one. Books.
That's beyond.
He says fucking books, and then like the other guy's like, fuck yeah.
I believe slavery is one.
Yeah.
Immigrants.
Yeah.
Popeye.
Yeah.
It's really fucking good.
I forgot Popeye. Popeye. Fucking.
Listen to us enjoying a
See, now,
totally
that's a good
better,
movie.
much better
We've
movie.
spent like 7 or 8 minutes talking about better movies.
Yeah.
That's when you know that the movie we just watched is very bad.
I mean, I just want to ask this philosophical question: Is it possible for this movie, outside of the hands of the people we've mentioned, to be good?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't think it is. I think this is not a movie that's possible to be good. It can't be Muppets. It can be puppets, but it can't be in that world of the Muppet
Well,
world.
I think it can be. I didn't. First of all, I didn't think it was spoofing the Muppet world. It didn't feel like it existed in the. It was. I know what you mean.
The
though.
tone of it was all
think,
Muppety.
I do think it needed to be more. Well, more Roger Rabbit. Where, like again, in Roger Rabbit, it's the idea the Muppets or the cartoons existed as films that they were doing, which was a very smart way of doing it. Because again, if it was that's what they were trying to do here, where it's a TV show, but it's not like a kids' TV show.
But it wasn't-
They chose like a sitcom, like the Happytime
Yes, that was
show
the
is
problem.
like a weird. It was that where it's like they couldn't nail the premise. So like I do think there's a way to make a better version of this because the problems for this were so baffling. It was basic. It was like this should have been about a kid's TV show cast of puppets for starters.
but that's BoJack Horseman, right? I mean,
it's also Meet the
basically-
Feebles a
Yeah,
little
but,
bit.
I mean, that's right. That was right out there in front of us the whole time.
BoJack Horseman?
BoJack's a great
Yeah.
tone.
Yeah, because it's not a noir movie. It's like a wry, desperate,
Yeah.
fucking,
Yeah,
angsty
but like-
comedy. It's great.
Yeah, like a tone like if you just if the movie never took its own premise seriously, what's the problem? Yeah, We've said that so many
I know
times
you've said,
already,
but like that really is the problem. But I just want to say, like, you keep mentioning Roger Rabbit, and for all the reasons you said, but the key difference is Roger Rabbit is also not any of the things that are in that world. Like Roger Rabbit is not Bugs Bunny, and he's not Mickey Mouse, and he's not, you know what I mean? Like, yes, he is in the same world as those things, but he's a totally new kind of character that shares only that he's animated with the rest of those things. And he's the lens through which we watch the rest of those characters, which allows for it to sort of not really be the same world. It isn't really the same world.
Right, he's adjacent.
Yeah.
And he reinterprets and recontextualizes that world. This did not have the Muppet that distanced us from Kermit the Frog and Piggy, who are not in this movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. It didn't have any. It didn't have
Right.
any noticeable Muppets, so
But
it wasn't the same.
It
thing.
didn't have a new kind of Muppet either. You know what I
Right.
mean? It just had a Muppet version of a thing that already exists. Like it's just a Muppetized, Jake from Chinatown.
Right.
Not a different thing. Like Roger Rabbit's kind of different.
We needed like a Kermit type.
Yeah, but something that's
Or like
definitely
a
not
Big Bird.
Kermit.
Right,
Yeah.
but like who is
Who's the Muppet article, but then is like the new lens into this world.
right,
so I
right,
reinterpret
because
it.
Roger Rabbit he's not one of those characters, but he is very much like he was.
Yes.
It wasn't like he was.
He's Bugs Bunny.
yeah, he
essentially.
fits into that
Like,
world.
He's Bugs Bunny, but in the noir world, he has no confidence and he's completely out of his
Yeah.
depth. And like it's a different because
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny is never anxious
Right.
about anything.
Yeah,
Mickey Mouse is never.
I just
bummed
mean
about
he's
anything.
he's like has a cartoon where he's famous and he does bits.
Yes.
Like it's.
But the
Yeah.
importance of the protagonist is, I know this is like basic screenwriting, but like when the protagonist doesn't do the job of setting up a world I want to watch, and in this movie you had to recontextualize Muppet world.
Right. There's
that
so
didn't
many.
happen.
There's so many problems because if their character and they like scratch the surface of this, if the idea is that he's like a puppet who wants to be taken seriously in a world of puppets that act like Muppets, that would have worked.
They tried to do
They
that.
do a little of that.
He punched
where-
that child. He punches that child in the
well,
beginning of
yeah.
the
In the
movie.
very first scene, he has the guy that's like dancing, and the kids
like, "We don't have
harass
to do
him. He
this
beats him
anymore."
up, and he's like, "Yeah, you don't have to do this." He's like, "But I like to do
But-
this," and they never explore that again.
Exactly. And they also they say something like, "Oh, he was a lot funnier than like." The idea that he could have been, it's the idea of him like battling his Muppet like
Right.
roots.
Well, yeah, and they
They would have been like Bob Hoskins.
I was
and-
about to say that,
Who
yeah,
Framed Roger
where he
Rabbit.
used to like working with tunes, and now he doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, but they set that up with Melissa McCarthy also, who has a puppet liver.
Yeah.
Totally insane fucking idea.
Yes,
Fine.
because we are
don't-
shown that puppets do not have organs.
I don't understand how biology works in this world at all, but okay. So she has a puppet liver. So the idea must have been somewhere early in the drafts that like they both sort of share a piece of the other person's world,
Right.
and then that's why they're good partners, and they're both sort of battling being part of both worlds. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you
Right,
don't
like
get any of that.
they should have had it be like Phil wants to be more serious, and Melissa McCarthy wants to be more like zany and
Right.
Muppet like.
Right.
But
Yes.
they don't really do that.
No, it fell apart.
Yeah, it's just bad.
Yeah. It is.
It's a bad film.
It is. It's again. I know it wasn't a mother and her teenage son that wrote this, but boy, did it feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope they had there was a middle-aged lady behind us that was just having a wild time.
Fucking blast.
I see. Tom, you and I are
In the
fortunate.
theater of four people. I
Yeah.
wanna say yeah.
Yeah, Tom and I are fortunate. Every time Tom and I go to a movie together, which is this year been like 6-7 times, there's some ghoul in that theater.
Yeah.
Like there's always some person that's doing an impossible thing.
Yes.
This time it was a woman enjoying this movie an impossible amount. Like
Right.
it felt like a performance art
It
piece.
was
Right.
made just for her.
Yeah. Right. Like more than Dave loves Chain Reaction. This woman just fucking loves
This
this
woman
movie.
was so into the film, and I'm so glad she had a good time.
And
Yeah, good for her.
I didn't have the heart to look back at her and get a sense of it. I just couldn't.
Right.
Because I was too mad at the movie to do that.
yeah, I'm glad someone enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's nice.
Because boy, they worked hard on it.
They did.
It's so hard to do a movie that's.
Have you
with
watched
these
the
Muppets.
like the making of Team America is like intense.
Yeah, but
and-
those guys are like that. They're just obsessive. They,
But like it's the puppet part.
Right.
All the making of the puppet part was
Right.
just like, oh, we had to build the lights completely different and put
Right.
up all this stuff. And I want to see the making of this movie. That's the only thing I'm interested in because I bet it was a lot of hard work. Like I said, I made a short film with puppets and we got actual puppeteers and just like a little short film, it was like, wow, these people are fucking serious about what they do.
it takes an incredible amount of talent
Yeah.
to make a lifelike puppet. Like incredible
Yeah. amount
of talent. And
Yeah,
lifelike
no
is
kidding.
it tricks our brain into enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I mean by that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it takes a lot of talent to do it and a lot of money. And this movie was made for not that much money. Tom and I were talking about.
yeah.
Well, it's just felt. But like Well,
making those puppets is not cheap.
Yeah, I guess
it
so.
can't be cheap. They're all special. They're all custom.
Yeah, I guess so.
And they
but
require a
we're
bunch of
talking
operators?
We're talking about someone who has an in with a company that makes them. Like, it's Jim Henson's son. I know this isn't a
Sure.
Henson film. Like, I know, I'm pretty sure he had to, like, not be associated with it. There was probably some legal issues along the way.
Yeah, they got sued for that tagline.
Yeah.
that Adam mentioned earlier.
But I feel like he knows a
that's
guy.
interesting.
I feel like he knows a guy or two who can whip together some Muppets for decent price. Like I feel
I'm
like
sure they gave him the business.
Yeah.
No doubt. They looked like they were made by the Henson Company
Yeah.
for sure. Does
That's
Brian
why
not own the Henson
The
Company?
logo is something.
Don't know.
Did you see the logo? It's something like. It's like Henson Entertainment or so. It's something. It was a different company with the word Henson in it.
I just want to say this movie had 15 opening splashes.
Yes,
It did.
It had so many. And Dave leaned over and said, maybe we're just going to see opening splashes forever. And I
Yeah.
realized that's another pretty good crack sketch we never made.
Yeah.
Just opening splashes forever.
Yeah,
So many.
just 2 minutes.
Cody could have made that. It's
Yeah.
2 seconds flat.
He still could. Let's tell him. Let's tell him
I'm
about
going to have
it.
to tell him to his little Cody face.
Yeah,
For sure. It was baffling how many people were involved in the making of this movie.
yeah.
I think that's part of how it fell apart. Like, I think again, it started with a clear vision, and then there was just so many cooks.
Does Jim? I mean, I could look this up, but like, did Jim Henson turn over the making of his films to other people? Ever?
Jim Henson? I don't know.
Yeah, like, are any of those Muppet movies not directed by Henson?
No, but I remember hearing
he
that.
didn't do Labyrinth, did he?
Yeah, he did.
That man.
The only movie he made puppets or animatronics for that he didn't actually direct was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Right.
That's
Oh,
interesting.
So I think he did direct every project the Henson Company was involved in.
That
the
explains
Henson,
the
but
tone.
the Henson
Yeah.
Company did do like puppets and stuff for other movies, though. They were like Stan Winston Studio, because I feel like it was something like
that's a different
it
company,
was
though.
something like the Phantom or something, where the suit was made by the Henson Company.
Oh, that's after he died.
Oh, okay.
I'm
That's
talking
how
about
it
like
fell
while
apart.
he was alive.
Okay.
His company only made stuff for movies that he directed. With the only exception was the Ninja Turtles.
That
I mean,
makes
he
sense,
basically
okay.
was a brand,
Right.
like Mr. Rogers or whatever. That's like, we're gonna do,
Yeah.
Treasure Island, but Jim Henson's version.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of sweet, honestly, and like, we all have a beloved connection to that.
Yeah.
Uh,
I was more of a Mr. Rogers guy, kid,
sure.
and Reading Rainbow. I didn't
Reading
care that much
Rainbow?
about Sesame Street. Yeah, it's LeVar and Rogers. Those were
Those are your dudes.
my dudes.
Those are
Yeah.
my guys.
That's fair.
All right. Well, this movie is trash, and I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Well, okay. Fine. One
You
last
have one more
question.
thing?
Sure.
Would you guys have sex with a puppet in this world? Going around the room.
I mean,
They went to such great pains to render a puppet vagina.
That's the thing is I think they wanted us to find the Muppet hot.
Yeah,
They
that
wanted
really
us-
disturbed me, I thought.
Right.
yeah, it was weird.
But if you met a puppet that you liked and you got along really well and it was a nice relationship, you'd make it work.
Well, you're
right?
okay.
Sure.
So you're certainly putting me up against the wall. Like, am I a puppet racist? Is now
Yeah,
what
it's
you're
what you're
asking.
asking is, are we puppet racists?
I
And it's
guess.
like,
And I would like to imagine
Part of it's
me as the best
logistic.
version of
it
myself.
doesn't seem like a comfortable thing to do.
No.
They're felt. But again, there's probably ways of making it work.
Seems like there's probably a procedure to make that
yeah,
dynamic
Yeah.
work.
there's that
products.
conversation's been had.
Yeah, there's products to make lots of things work. So I don't know. Like, I feel like
Do they get pregnant?
They must. Where do
You
puppets come
asking
from?
me?
Are there half Muppet, half people? These are the questions
Definitely.
this movie should have been asking that was going through my head.
The whole time you're asking, what's the biology of puppets, and can I fuck it?
Yeah, well, would I? And and then it became very clear. It was like, oh yeah, if I met one I liked, like
Right.
if we got along, it was sparks. Like why am I?
If it made sense,
Why am I
Like, I
why am I
mean-
so retrograde in my brain on
Exactly.
this?
the
Yeah.
heart wants what it wants.
Exactly.
It's true. I didn't particularly connect to any puppets here, so it's hard for me to put myself in that place.
Right. I think it came from the realization of this movie wants me to want to fuck this puppet.
Yeah.
Like this movie's trying
How
to
do
get
I
me to.
feel about that?
Yeah.
It was a strange decision to make that puppet
Yeah.
really try to be seductive.
Yeah. They really went for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they really did.
Yeah.
And
It wasn't my type of puppet.
Boy, is
but
it
I
bad.
No,
well,
not-
I would
yeah,
never
not my
rule
type of
out
puppet
a,
either.
a puppet altogether.
I'm more leaning towards like a Lady Grover. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fur
Really
and
wanna-
face.
Really want to get in on
Yeah.
that Grover.
Just
huh?
really, it was,
really
Yeah.
lay into Grover.
Like, do you require an account during the act, or
well, you gotta have him count during it.
yeah, gotta have a count. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
We're learning a lot. I thought you were an ice sculpture guy. I thought that was your deal.
Just anything that's inanimate.
Dave is a broad spectrum.
Right. Why, who am I to put the blinders on Dave's
A
sexuality?
broad spectrum of objects.
Yeah, who am I?
Objects. Yeah.
Who am I to try to fence that in? You know what I mean? Like, let it roam free. Yeah. That's probably the most sexual this podcast has gotten, and you've made many semen jokes over the last 3 weeks.
That's true.
You've just been storing them up,
Yeah.
blasting them on everybody like silly string.
This
Like,
movie.
This movie is bad.
That silly string cum scene was the closest they got to Team America.
Yes. Well, because it's a joke.
Okay, the reason it made me laugh is actually, I think, the noise he was making.
Yeah,
Because it was like, oh, yeah. And it was the fact that, and then they had the Muppet just have the mouth agape, like, and again, that's what
that's
Team
the
America
funniest thing
did.
about.
Yeah,
Muppets.
that's what Team America did, where they made jokes where they made the puppets purposefully bad.
Yeah,
Right.
puppety.
Yeah,
Yes.
and like the part where he's vomiting Team America, it starts like the air starts coming out, like it starts like,
That puppet is just like
Right.
slapping
Yeah.
on the ground.
and it was that. It was like they just
God,
had,
what a funny joke.
like it was the fact that it was just silly string and a still puppet with the mouth agape that they're just
Right.
like whipping around the
Yeah.
Right.
and just someone going "Ugh," like
That
and it
is
was
really
just like-
funny. It is really funny.
It was the joke to me wasn't like, oh look, he's coming and it's silly string. It was like just the imagery of it.
Yeah.
like
No,
made me
I
laugh.
think that was intended. I think it's supposed to be funny
Yeah, that's
that it
why-
goes on
yeah.
forever, and he makes that sound, and he's a puppet with his mouth open so
Yeah.
long.
Right, because they do that joke, the mouth open and just the arms flopping
That's one of the best
crazily.
Muppet things.
That's a Muppet joke, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I do
Cool.
like that.
Yeah.
I defy somebody to show us a clip of a person having an amazing performance with a Muppet. Like, I want to see that.
Okay, I'm gonna say this isn't a performance, but one of my favorite things I've ever seen was Kermit the Frog on The Daily Show, because
Okay.
it's Jon Stewart interviewing him, and it's Jon Stewart being like suddenly learning that he has some sort of phobia. Like it's Jon Stewart like looking at Kermit, and he keeps just being like, "I'm looking at you in the eyes. Why am I looking at you in the eyes?" And he's just like, "Where else would you look at me?" And it's just like it's just Jon Stewart freaked out by a puppet.
It really bummed him out.
Yeah, well, it didn't bump it. It was like he completely lost his mojo. Like he couldn't interview him for some reason,
That's
and
so
so just
good.
Kermit just kept dunking on him. And it was just like, there's a part where he says like the frog's doing circles around me. I can't believe it, because it's like that idea of like something in him wasn't prepared for that moment, and he thought he was, and then when the time came,
I guess he
just
must be
didn't quite
weirded
know.
out that he is like taken in by the character and is speaking to the puppet.
Yeah.
and there's,
Right,
like,
that
the
he
person
believes it. Yeah.
manipulating it is right there.
Right.
Like,
And of course, it's a rule. They're like never
Yeah.
address
Yeah,
the
don't-
puppeteer.
It's
Yeah.
probably why, what's the name of that? Oh, Triumph the Insult Comic Dog, right? It's probably
Yeah.
why nobody ever gets that bummed at that.
Yeah.
Because it's fucking hilarious to watch a human being do this thing and you have to respond to it like it's a fucking real thing, and it isn't. You know, like, that's interesting. Anyway, I really am. I'm sure somebody's going to show me a clip of, like, you know, Meryl Streep
like
having
a
an amazing,
devastating Muppet performance.
and I want to see that, because I think it is very hard for actors to respond believably to these Muppets.
There definitely is. If you look it up, I've done this. I've gone down this rabbit hole of
Okay.
like guests on Sesame Street, because you forget that Sesame Street isn't not just still going on, but that like Jonah Hill will be on it. You know, that like modern celebrities.
yeah.
Because like you think about, like, I always just think back of when like it was just celebrities from the '80s when I was a
Yeah.
kid. But you look at it now, and it's like there's modern actors doing shit on it. You'll see Oscar Isaac fucking hanging out with Elmo. Like it's kind of neat.
I think there's something sweet about that.
Because it's SNL for kids. Like they have good gets. They get every celebrity.
You know, it's Sesame Street. Who would say no?
Yeah, exactly.
I would not say no. I would go on.
I don't think Trump will go on, because they had a Trump character. They constantly made fun of Trump.
Oh, wow, really?
Oh, for
That's
the last
interesting.
like 2 decades, they've had a.
They've been ahead of us on that.
Oh yeah, they haven't liked Trump because he embodied basically like whenever they needed a
Don't they
villain.
have Joe Pesci come on and play his like
Play
Ronald
Trump.
Grump or something?
Yeah. They also had a puppet Trump that like took Oscar the Grouch's trash can and turned it into these apartments that fell apart and were shitty. Like, yeah, it's someone who works there who is like
That's
hates him.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we
That's
all
right
hated
on.
him for
Yeah.
I
decades.
never, I never
meant,
liked
like,
Donald Trump.
Someone
Yeah.
like knew him and
Yeah.
hated him on Sesame Street.
Yeah, I always thought Donald Trump was not the best guy, but
Right.
But having the prescience to point those problems out on Sesame Street,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. Anyway,
Yeah. Everybody check out Sesame Street.
Yeah, fuck this movie.
Yeah.
Tom was real mad.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Well, Adam, you have anything to plug?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at The Real Gans. You can find one of my podcasts on the Small Beans Network with Mike Swaim. It's called One Upsmanship. It's about video games. And the other on the Unpops Network, it's called Sport Horse. It's with Adam Todd Brown and Brett Rader. It's about sports. Those things are the best.
Will you ever let me come on and talk about the Huey Lewis album?
The Huey Lewis album.
Sports.
The Huey Lewis album?
Huey Lewis in the News album, Sports.
You've made me so angry that you befuddled me. Like I just got so angry that I got stumped.
Okay. Well, we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that.
Fair
Don't say
enough.
don't say yes
I
or
didn't
no
say
yet.
no. So
Yes.
yeah.
He didn't say no.
Didn't say no.